Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
On this Thanksgiving Shabbat, the beginning of the month of Kislev, the Shabbat of the Torah portion of Toldot. And as I was thinking about what I might share with you today, I have been thinking about the conversations I've had with a number of you over the past week to 10 days with regard to Thanksgiving and this moment of gathering. And I want to reflect on some of these thoughts that you have shared with me in terms of family gatherings and some of the complexities of family gatherings and the multiple types of feelings that we experience in the context of perhaps our Torah portion of Toldot. The Torah portion of Toldot recounts the story of the births of Isaac, of the descendants of Abraham. And most of the Torah portion is really dedicated to the story of Jacob and Esau. Jacob and Esau really dominate the story of this Torah portion. And from the very beginning, right from the very start, from the pregnancy of Rebecca feels that there is something going on that she needs advice with. It says that she felt these twins in her belly, in her womb. It says, "Vayitrotzetzu bekirba." They were active in an extraordinary way in her womb. And she goes and seeks the advice of God with regard to her pregnancy. And God says to her, "Shnei goyim bevitnech, shnei leumim mime'ayich yiparedu. Uleom mileom ye'ematz, verav ya'avod sa'ir." He says, God says here in this particular moment, God says to Rebecca, there are two nations in your womb. And two nations, two countries, two separate identities from your insides will split and will divide up. And one nation from the other, with the other, will struggle. And the greater or the elder will submit to the younger. It occurs to me that this may not have been God's greatest pastoral moment. It may not have been exactly what a pregnant woman God might have said, you know, the two twins are fine, you will be fine, they're healthy, you will be healthy, you will see them grow up, you will get to celebrate with them. But this is what God is reported as having said in the Torah portion. And from that moment onwards and the birth of Jacob and Esau, we experience Jacob and Esau being completely different from each other. Jacob, Ishtam Yoshev Ohalim, Esau, Jacob sits and dwells in the tent and is a person who's a tent dweller. Esau is a person of the field. Jacob is beloved by his mother. Esau is beloved by his father. They are completely different people. Jacob, the notion of the right of the firstborn is important to him. Esau is willing to give it up. We see all of these differences between Jacob and Esau, and we know the history of Jacob and Esau. We know what happens with Jacob and Esau. As they grow older, one has to flee from the other. They're worried about each other. They are in competition, and the competition goes on for generations. And I've been wondering, what was their Thanksgiving like when they were growing up? How was that? How was Thanksgiving in that household? How did that work for them? How was it with everybody coming together? In reality, it's very interesting. Scholars have thought about this for a long time and have come to the conclusion that the stories of the enmity of Jacob and Esau, the story of all of that really doesn't appear in the prophets, in the early prophets. It doesn't appear in the book of Kings. Edom and Esau, the red-headed older brother, gives rise to the nation of Edom, that nation that is named after the word red in Hebrew. They're not really singled out as the enemies of Israel throughout the 5 books of Moses. This really starts out in the later prophetic literature that is associated with the destruction of Israel and Judah and the rise of Edom. And I think it isn't a surprise to us that the rabbis noticed it. The rabbis saw this, and the rabbis placed Malachi, a passage out of the book of Malachi, the prophet Malachi, as the Haftorah to the Torah portion of Toldot. And for those of you who know Malachi, Malachi is perhaps the most, or one of the most, but perhaps the most relational of all prophets. And Malachi really gets it. Malachi truly understands what is going on and somehow recounts the story of Jacob and Esau. The very beginning of the book of Malachi, the very first verse of Malachi says, Masa dvar Adonai el Yisrael beyad malachi. The burden, the baggage of the word of God, of the message of God to Israel in the hands of Malachi. This is how the entire prophetic book of Malachi starts. And the 2 words that follow this notion of the baggage of the prophecy of God in the hand of Malachi is the message of God to Israel, Ahavti etchem. I have loved you. Va'amartem, and you said, Bameh ahavtanu, how have you loved us? Haloach le'esav Yaakov. Is it not the case that Esau has a brother, Jacob? Is it not the case that Esau, that seems to be doing great, has a brother called Jacob who doesn't seem to be doing so great? Ne'um Adonai, God says, Va'ehav et Yaakov, but I have loved Jacob. And here, in a moment wherein God turns the tables, God says, Ve'et Esav saneti, and I have despised Esau. Va'asim et mekomo, and I have placed his nation, his country, shemama, as an arid place, a place without rain. Ve'et nachalato lachanot midbar. Esau's estate is a desert. Look at Jacob and look at Esau. And here for a moment we see this dynamic that starts to occur in the Torah portion of Toldot, and that now Malachi recounts in the context of the competition between these siblings. And what is this competition between these siblings? It is a competition for love. And here, how does God start the very prophecy that he delivers, that God delivers, or she delivers, in the hands of Malachi? I have loved you. And what do we need to hear at this moment? Wherein Edom is doing great, but Judah has been destroyed or expelled or has suffered hardship. Oh, don't worry. Look at you and look at Esau. I have despised Esau. Look at the land I have given Esau. And Esau may try to rebuild, and Edom may try to rebuild, and I will destroy them. And you, Jacob, you, the descendants of Jacob, you will be just fine. The entire book of Malachi starts from this question of love and the competition over love, and then turns in a different direction. It turns in the direction of covenant, and what that covenant is about, and how it is that we understand our covenant, and why it is that our covenant, the covenant of Jacob, even in times of difficulty, is important. It says, Briti haita iti, and it speaks about Israel and Levi. My covenant was with Levi and the entire nation, lechayim v'hashalom, for life and for peace. And it says with regard to Levi, Va'eten lo mora vayeraeni, I have given Levi the ability to see and to experience all. And Levi has seen and has had all. Torat emet haita befihu, a Torah of truth was in our mouths. Ve'avla lo nimtza, and oppression and transgression did not appear on their lips. Beshalom u'v'mishor halach iti, in peace and in steadiness the Israelites have walked with me. Ve'rabim heshiv me'avon, and they have restored many from paths of transgression. That is the essence for Malachi of our covenant. Malachi goes on to speak about the day of judgment and about the judgment of God with regard to the covenant. And there he says, and this is really the essence of everything for Malachi, V'karavti alechem lemishpat v'hayiti ed memaher, I will come close to you and quickly and swiftly in judgment, and I will be a quick witness. B'mechashvim, with regard to the sorcerers, those inventors of a semi-reality, uvemena'afim, in those who betray their loved ones, uvanishbaim lashaker, those who make false oaths, uve'oshkei sechar sachir almana v'yatom umatei ger, and those who oppress the widow and the orphan, and the laborer who needs the laborer's wages, and those who discard or look away from the stranger. And then God says, Velo yir'uni, all of those people who could not see me. They could not see me in the eye of the laborer. They could not see me in the face of the widow. They could not see me in the crying of the orphan. They could not see me in the stranger. Those who simply couldn't see me, Amar Adonai, said God, Ki ani Adonai lo shaniti, for I have not changed. I have always been here. My covenant and I have always been here. ואתם בני יעקב לא חליתם. And you, the descendants of Jacob, are still here too. You have not perished. God is here. God says, I have loved you. The covenant is here. And we are here. And so God says to us at the very end of the book of Malachi, זכרו תורת משה עבדי אשר ציוויתי אותו בחורב על כל ישראל. Remember the Torah of Moses, that I commanded Moses at Sinai upon all of Israel. הנה אני שולח עליכם את אליהו הנביא. I will be sending to you Elijah the prophet. והשיב לב אבות על בנים, ולב בנים על אבותם. And Elijah will restore the heart of parents to children and children to their parents. In other words, Malachi tells us it's not about Esau. It's about us. It is about our covenant. It is about our Torah. It is about us living to our best selves in the context of the covenant. It is about our ability to see God in each other and in the eyes of those whom we rarely see. The laborer, the widow, the orphan, and the stranger. It is about us remembering and knowing that we are loved, and about us knowing that the day will come wherein the hearts of parents will be restored to their children, and the hearts of children will be restored to their parents. And perhaps on this Thanksgiving weekend, at the beginning of the month of Kislev, as families gather and as we wonder about how it is that we're going to engage in dialogue, how it is that we are going to truly see each other, what is Thanksgiving really going to be like for all of us? That we give thanks for love, that we give thanks for covenant, that we give thanks for being here. We give thanks for our ability to see God through each other, and that we know that the hearts of children will be restored to parents, and the hearts of parents to children. That there is at the end of the day the strength of eternal family, eternal covenant, eternal solidarity that binds us together. We are, after all, here, and we have so much to be grateful for. May this be our will this Shabbat. I wish all of you a happy Thanksgiving weekend.